We're live. Hey, at the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show, and it's about 2:22 on a Saturday afternoon here on the East Coast. This is our 389th show. I'm sneaking this in because my kids and their friends are here and didn't get much stuff done this morning. So I was trying to get stuff done, fell asleep, be honest with you, took a nap. I'm getting old, but they're gone for a second. So I figured I'd record the show before they got all their electronics going and crazy. We are going to do some TikToks and some Coke things or do some stuff with the kids. So I figured I'd get this opportunity before they come back and turn on the electronics. And then I don't have any bandwidth for the show. But I'm Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach. And we're here to talk about Scrum and Agile in a practical and tactical way. And again, later we'll do some posting some little videos and things like that. But I got a couple things. I'm going to do some 5 power questions today. I have this great deck of power question cards that I got as part of doing my cohort experiment. We did a retreat and they sent out these cards as part of the retreat. So I'm going to pick 5 questions and kind of go over them with you all. And then the other thing, we'll talk about failure. I've been failing a lot lately, trying to get back on the horse and get stuff done. But I want to talk about failure. There was a post by Lisa Patrick that I shared on the website on LinkedIn. If you haven't failed, then you are not exploring enough opportunities. But I want to say, are you failing smartly or are you just failing to fail? And there's 2 different things about that school of thought. There's multiple schools of thought on it, but I'm just going to give you my thoughts on that right now. And hello, Andres. Hello. So let's talk about 5 power questions. Let's do the Scrum Agile thing real quick. So let's magically pick a card. Okay. What are you going for? That's a power question. So when we're going to talk about failure, so what are you really going for when you say fail to fail and you're good to fail, right? But why are you really failing? So let's pick another one. Here we go. What worked in the past? So that's going through the past. So you failed some things. Are you just repeating your failures of the past, or what worked so you don't, you know what worked in the past, but you want to try something different and don't repeat failures, right? Because if you're just failing, but you've done it a million times already where you failed, so why are you doing it again? Just because you think you're going to try again, the same exact thing, doesn't mean it's going to be successful. Okay. Ooh, here's a good one. What's the real issue? That's a real powerful question, right? So what's the real issue here that we're going? So when people go off in tangents and everything, and you ask a question like that, what's the real issue? It makes everyone, what are you talking about? I mean, why are we here? What's the issue we're trying to attack? What's the real issue? Is it stuff on the outside, or what's really digging us, right? Okay, let's pick another one. I don't like that one. Oh, I like this one. This one's good for failure. What are you avoiding? What are you avoiding? It looks kind of weird because when you look at it, it reverses it on YouTube on the thing on the screen. So what are you avoiding? That's a classic failure. It's like, I don't want to fail. I want to avoid it. So that goes right there. What are you avoiding? Why are you not trying things out? Right? So when people are scared to do new things or try new stuff, that's a good thing. What are you avoiding? What are you trying to avoid here? Why? Ooh, here we go. What's happened to change your thinking? That's a really good power question. So what has happened to change your thinking? So that's like a question to ask, like if they get stuck and they don't want to do something, you come back and say, hey, so what has changed? What has happened to change your thinking on what you want to do on that? So those are 5 powerful questions that I just wanted to share with you that might be useful for when you have discussions and coaching sessions with teams and people. Okay. Now I want to talk about failure. This is going to be short because, like I said, I'm sneaking this in before the kids get back and obliterate the bandwidth. If you haven't failed, then, and it was a good thing in her video, she said something about self-sabotage. People do self-sabotage themselves. Like they're afraid of failure, so they're going to sabotage because they don't know whether they'll be good or not. And they worry what everybody else will think. That's how the biggest thing is you got to not worry about, like Gary Vee says, don't worry about everybody else thinks. Just do what you want to do. Do what you think's good. But I want to talk about, there is the thing of failing smartly versus failing to fail. The question is not just, hey, let's do it so we failed. Yeah, let's go fit. That's not what it is about. It's failing because you want to learn something. Okay, maybe you'll fail along the way, but what's your goal? And what are you learning along that path that maybe it did fail? You know, we do the Coke experiments, and the goal was to try to find a way to have Coke go up in the air without us really doing a lot of extra stuff. And see if that works, right? But yeah, it fails along the way, but we're learning as we go, right? We learn that experiment. And the same goes in business, same goes in a team. In a business, where I am failing a lot lately is, and they talk about opportunity. And one of the corrections in that comment is, are you going to explore enough opportunities? Sometimes we explore too many opportunities at the same time, and that's one of the beauties of WIP limits, right? Are you failing because you got 5, 6, 7 things in the hopper at the same time? Therefore, you don't have enough time to spend on a particular item to really get it to a point where, is it good or bad? And everything's failing because you can't dedicate enough time to one thing. That happens a lot. That happens a lot in coding, happens a lot in business, happens a lot in people's lives. That's one of the things that's got me going right now. I got way too many things in the hopper. And then like nothing gets going, right? But then also, one more thing about failure, I'm going to keep this our short little episode. The definition of done, right? One of the beauties of Agile and Scrum is that we do our 2-week sprints. And this is what I want to kind of bring more of the Agile context to it. The ability of getting stuff done, which is also one of my things that prevents me from succeeding a lot, is not getting stuff done. Fully done, right? So it's done, it's over, I'm over with that. Now I can move to the next thing or build upon what I just did to get the next level of where the value is in whatever I'm building. And by not getting stuff done and have it half here, half there, a little bit there, a little bit there, you can't close that chapter and go on to the new opportunities. Therefore, that's a failure. And then you failed to go after new opportunities because you failed to finish what you're working on. So the definition of done and failure really do apply to each other. But I want to give you one last thing on failure. I hear a lot of companies say, "Oh, you got to prove to me that this works, that Agile works or Scrum works." When we do Scrum, and what I found on my new teams that come up, it does take 4 sprints. 4 sprints in a 2-week period is at least 2 months to get it where the team is actually successful, where you can determine whether or not the team has the capability of succeeding. That's not like 2 weeks. That's 2 months, right? So it takes a little bit of time to really determine whether it's a failure or not. You can't just say magically, well, it didn't work this time, so it was wrong. So we didn't do a very good retrospective, so it's a failure, and we shouldn't do this, and we shouldn't do this anymore. Or we didn't get more work done, even though it was the very first sprint we ever did, because we didn't produce more than we did before, then it's a failure. That's not a failure. That's a lack of patience, right? To get going. But then again, you don't want to say, oh, let's take a year, let's take 2 years to figure out whether or not this works for us. That's not wise either. That is not giving yourself enough time to fail. And in the same vein as when I say there's four sprints, the longer the time box for your sprint, the more sprints going to take you to determine whether or not this is successful or not, or where you can be. A lot of times when I do 3 weeks to a month-long sprint, it could take 6 sprints to get there. And the reason why, in the shorter sprint, you get more failure routines. You learn what works and what doesn't work. You learn from your failures quicker because there's so many of them in a shorter period of time that you can benefit from that failure and learn a lesson and try again in a new way. And that's where failure really applies for opportunities. You got to get your time box good enough, small enough too, that you can try these things and learn these things so that the next time you try your new pivot, you can decide what you want to do. And I guess that's what I have. And we're going to go do some TikToks and some Mentos stuff maybe and Coke experiments since we have visitors over. We're going to have some fun today. So give us a thumbs up. Ring the little bell if you like what we talk about. And, fail smartly. Don't fail stupidly or just to fail to fail. Everybody's, well, you fail to fail. I said, no, what are you talking about? Don't fail to fail. Fail smartly. Have a goal. Know what you learn, and if you fail along the way, you know where you can use those failures to grow, right? And then the other thing, try some powerful questions. I'll give you 5 that you can use in some of your questions you ask from a Scrum team, coaching individuals, and dealing with people in general. All right, with that, have a great Saturday and have some fun. All right, bye, everybody. See ya. And have fun.